Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth and I run the crochet brand Realm Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make my Love Heart Granny Square. This granny square is used in my love letter bag, and I have the written pattern for this design on my website. It will be linked below if you would like the full bag instructions. I will be working in UK terms. The only stitch used in this pattern is a UK treble crochet, which translates to a US double crochet, so it's not too difficult to convert. So a few things that you're going to need. I'm using the paper box yarn, Simply DK, which is an acrylic yarn, and you'll need about 40 grams for the base colour and about 10 grams for your hearts. I'm then using a 3.5mm hook. I would recommend using a hook that is slightly smaller than the yarn recommends. So this yarn recommends a 4mm hook. So I would go down 0.5mm or even a full millimetre in size of your hook. You're then going to need a needle and some scissors. So the first thing you are going to do is attach your yarn to your hook, and we are going to chain 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain to join and make a ring. So once I've done that, I am going to chain 3, which counts as my first stitch, and then going to do treble crochet into the hole that we've made, and then I'm going to do another one of those. So this first round is basically just how you would start a normal granny square. So I'm going to then chain 2, 3 treble crochet into the hoop, chain 2, 3 more treble crochet, and then chain 2 and the last 3 treble crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2 and slip stitch into that beginning chain 3. So that's round 1. You're then going to continue with the same yarn and chain 3. You're then going to turn the granny square over, and you're going to be working into this 2 chain space, which is just below your chain 3. So I'm going to do 2 treble crochets into there, I'm then going to chain 2 and do 3 more treble crochets. Then I would normally chain 1 when I was doing a normal granny square, but for this design I'm not going to do a chain in between on the sides. It keeps it nice and tight, which is what you need for this design, to hide some of your ends that you'll work over. And also I've been using these squares to make bags, and having a nice and tight stitches is just better for bags. So I'm not going to chain 1 there like you would normally. I'm just going to go straight into that next chain 2 space, and I'm going to do 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble. And then you just want to repeat that in your next chain 2 space and this next chain 2 space as well. So 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble, and just repeat that into your last one as well. So I have done 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble in all my corner spaces, and I'm just about to do my last treble So I'm going to do yarn over, pull through a loop, pull through 2 until it looks like this. So I should have 2 hoops on my hook, and usually I would then pick yarn over and pull through 2 loops, but I am now going to change to my red yarn. So I'm going to get my red yarn and I am going to complete the stitch with the red yarn. So I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, and then I like to get these 2 tails and I flip them over, and I find that that just traps in the yarn and keeps it nice and neat. And then I'm going to slip stitch into that beginning, chain 3 to join, and you can see now that we are now working with the red yarn. That's the end of round 2, and I'm going to work on round 3 now. So I'm going to chain 3 and turn. I am then going to work over these tails. So my white yarn is still attached, so the ball is down here somewhere, and I'm going to be picking this back up in these stitches. So I'm going to work over the yarn and travel it across. So I'm going to do 2 treble into this space between the clusters. So at the base of your chain 3, I'm going to do 2 treble into that space. And I'm working over my yarn. When I'm getting to my last stitch, just before I finish it, I am going to finish it with the white yarn to change the colour. So I'm going to pick that white one back up and I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, and now we're working with the white yarn. I'm then going to do 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble into this corner, chain 2 space, and I am going to work over the the red yarn. So insert my hook, 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble, and again, before I finish my last 3 treble, I am going to change to my red yarn, and I like to pull it just so it's snug. You don't want to pull it too tight because otherwise that's going to make it all bunch together, but you want to make sure it's tight enough to keep it nice and neat. So I just give it a tiny little pull just to make sure it's taut, and then I'm going to change to the red yarn, and I'm going to do 3 treble into that space between the clusters, and again working over that white yarn so I can pick it back up again in a min. So 3 treble into there, and then before I finish my last stitch I'm going to change back to white. Again, just give it a little gentle tug just to make sure it's sitting nicely. Change to the white yarn, and then I'm going to do 3 treble, chain 2 into my corner.
3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble, sorry.
And again on my last stitch, it's got a little bit tangled. On my last stitch I'm going to change to the red yarn, and I'm going to do 3 treble into that space there in between the 3 clusters, the clusters of 3. So this would be normally where you have a chain 1 for your granny square, but with this design, to keep it nice and tight and to hide these yarn ends that you're working over, that's why we don't do a chain 1 there, but that is the space that would normally have a chain 1, that's where you're working into. So 3 treble into there, and again change to the white yarn, 3 treble, chain 2 into that corner space.
3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble into the corner space. I keep saying that wrong, sorry.
On that last stitch we are going to change to the red yarn, and 3 treble into that space. On that last stitch, change back to the white yarn,
and then 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble into the corner space.
So I've nearly finished my last corner with my 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble, and again I am on my last stitch, and we want to be starting round 4 with the red yarn. So on my last stitch I'm going to change to the red, and then like I did before, I like to flip that over there to trap it in and travel it up, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that beginning, chain 3 to join, and we are now working with the red yarn. Now with this one, for each round we normally turn, but for this round you're not going to turn. So I flip that white back over there so I can work over it, and I'm going to chain 3, which counts as our first stitch, and then I am going to work 1 treble into that stitch at the base of our chain 3. So it's this first red stitch here, we're going to do a treble crochet into that stitch. Into the next stitch we are then going to work 1 treble, chain 1, 1 treble. So we've just worked into that middle red stitch, and then into this last red stitch we're going to do 2 treble. So we're actually working into the stitches rather than in between the stitches. And then for the last stitch I've just done, I am going to change to the white yarn. We're then going to do 3 treble crochet, chain 2, 3 treble crochet into that chain 2 corner space. And again on my last stitch I'm going to change to my red yarn, and we are going to skip the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to be working into that first red stitch there. So we're going to do 2 treble crochet into that first red stitch. 1, 2, and then going to treble crochet, chain 1, treble crochet into the next stitch. So 1 treble crochet, chain 1, 1 treble crochet into that middle red stitch, and then we're going to do 2 treble crochet into that last red stitch, and then on my last stitch change back to my white yarn, and you're going to repeat that all the way around until you're back here. So once I've done that all the way around, you can see I am now back at my last corner space, and I'm going to slip stitch into that first, chain 3 to join, and we want it to be with the white yarn, so you don't need to change your yarn colour at all for at the end of this round. You want to stick with the white. I'm then going to fasten off the red yarn because we're not going to need that for 2 rows now. You're just going to be continuing with your white for the next 2 rows. So for round 5, I'm going to chain 3, and turn, and we're going to be working 2 treble crochet into this space at the base of our chain 3. So 2 treble crochet in there. We are then going to do 3 treble crochet, chain 2, 3 treble crochet into that corner space like usual. Chain 2, 3 treble crochet. We're then going to skip the next 3 stitches and work into this space between the clusters, and we're going to do 3 treble crochet in there. We're then going to do 3 treble crochet into that chain 1 space in the middle. You can see the hearts are starting to form. So we're going to do 3 treble into that chain 1 space. Skip the next 3 stitches, and you want to work 3 treble into this space where in between those clusters. And then we'll do 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble into the corner space, and you repeat what we just did on this first side all the way around. Once we've done that all the way around, you should be able to see your hearts are starting to form, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clusters on each side. And once I've done that last treble crochet into that chain 1 space, I'm going to slip stitch into my beginning chain 3 to join. So that is the end of round 3. And you could stop here. This is a cute little square with your little hearts on, but I'm actually going to show you how to do 2 more rows of the hearts. So the next round we are going to chain 3 and turn, and we're going to work 2 treble crochet into this space between the clusters at the base of that chain 3. We're then going to work 3 treble into this space and 3 treble into this space. So where your little clusters are made, you should see some spaces. So that's where we're going to work our next 3 treble cluster. And again 3 treble cluster into there. And then for the corner we'll do what we've been doing all along, which is 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble into that chain 2 corner space. You're then going to be repeating along the side, 3 treble into each one of those spaces, and 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble into your corner spaces. So I will come back once I've done that. So that last round was just like a granny square, but without your chain 1 in between the stitches. Then just finished my last one, and I am going to slip stitch into that chain 3 to join, and that is the end of round 6. We're then going to be adding in another row of hearts on the next round. So to start we are going to chain 3 and turn, and then we are going to do 2 treble into that space. And before we finish that stitch, we are going to change to our red yarn. So I fastened off after round 5, yeah, because I don't want it to be travelled all the way round. Just feel like it looks a bit neater, and it's in an extra end to sew in. So I'm going to reattach my red yarn. So just before I finish my last stitch, I am again going to use my red yarn, and I'm then going to work 3 treble crochet into this next space. On the last stitch, change to the white yarn and do 3 treble crochet, chain 2, 3 treble crochet into that chain 2 corner space, making sure we are working over that red yarn to pick back up in a min. So 3 treble crochet, chain 2, 3 treble crochet just like before. On that last stitch we're going to change back to our red yarn and we're going to do 3 treble crochet into that next space. On the last stitch, change back to our white yarn and we're going to do 1, 2, 3 lots of our 3 treble clusters. So I will do that and come back. So I've just done 3 treble stitches into the next 3 spaces, and I'm then going to change to my red yarn and I'm going to do 3 treble crochet into that next stitch, and then I'm going to change back to my white and I'm going to do 3 treble, 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble into that corner space, and then you're going to repeat that pattern that we've done on that first side. So you'll have a red one here, 3 white, and then a red one, and you want to do that all the way around until you're back where you started. So I am just finishing my last side and I've done my last 3 red stitches there, and instead of working along this red yarn like I've been all the way around, I am going to drop that and I will re-pick it back up on my next round. Instead of working over it, travelling it up and working over it, just keeps it a little bit neater, means there's less, you can't see it as much, because you can see obviously that when you work over it you can see the yarn a little bit, and I do have a little tip later on of how to hide that a little bit better. But yes, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to do my last 3, well, my last 3 treble there, and then 1 more into that last space in between the stitches, and I'm then going to slip stitch into that beginning chain 3 to join, and that is the end of round 7. So for round 8 we are going to chain 3 and turn just like we have been doing, and I'm going to work 2 treble into that space at the base of our chain 3, and then I'm going to do 3 treble into that next space between the clusters, and on our last stitch I'm going to change back to the red yarn which I dropped here, So I'm just going to pick that up and I will complete the stitch with this red yarn, and you'll get something like this where you get a bit of a line, but when you complete the stitch that gets hidden. So we are then going to be working 2 treble into that first red stitch. So we're going to be skipping 3 stitches and working 2 treble into that first red stitch, and I'm going to be working over that yarn, and you can see there that that yarn is hidden away in there now. So 2 treble into that first stitch. I'm then going to do 1 treble, chain 1, 1 treble into the next stitch, and then I'm going to do 2 treble into the next stitch. And then we're going to change to our white yarn, and we're going to do 3 treble, chain 2 into the corner space. We are then back to doing our heart, so I'm going to change back to my red yarn, and we're going to miss the next 3 stitches, and we're going to work 2 treble into that first red stitch, just like we did before. And then 1 treble, chain 1, 1 treble into that next stitch, and then 2 treble into that next stitch, and then we are going to change to our white yarn again. Now here is what I do to hide this yarn a little bit better. So this is where we've travelled it across, and because of the type of stitch that we're using, you can see it a little bit. So what I like to do is when I am now going to work 3 treble into this space here, and I'm going to pick up that yarn as well, and I'm going to work over that as well. So I'm trapping that under my hook, and that will pull it up and just make it a little bit more discreet. And as you can see there, that has just hidden it a little bit better than it was before. So I'll do the next one, another 3 treble into this next space, picking that yarn up and working over it. And you can see it has hidden it a lot better. So there's the comparison of what it looked like before, and then that's what it looks like after. So I definitely think it's worth doing just to hide a little bit better. Oh, with that last stitch I should have changed to my red yarn, and we're going to repeat what we've been doing all the way around. So I'll show you one more time of what we do for the heart. We skip the next 3 stitches, and into the top of that red stitch we're going to do 2 treble, then 1 treble, chain 1, 1 treble into the next stitch, and 2 treble into the next stitch. So when we are working these hearts, we're working into the stitches, but the rest of the time we are working in between the stitches. And it just makes your little fan for the top of your heart. So you're going to repeat that on your other sides, working your hearts and working in between your stitches with the white. So I'm getting to the end of round 8, and I am then going to fasten off my red yarn again, because I'm not going to need that for 2 rows. And I'm going to, so on my last stitch I changed back to my white yarn, and I am going to slip stitch into that beginning chain 3 to join. You should have something like this. So for round 9 we're going to do pretty much the same thing as we did for round 5, which was we're going to chain 3 and turn, and we're going to do 2 treble into that space at the base of our chain 3, and we're then going to work 3 treble into that chain 1 space, and we're going to work 3 treble into that next space between the clusters, so 3 treble in there, and we're going to do 3 treble chain 2 in all our corner spaces, and again just repeating along each side, doing 3 treble in between each cluster. And I'll also, you can see here where this yarn is, I'll pick up that yarn and I'll work over that like I showed you before to hide that in a bit more. So do that all the way around and then I'll come back. So I've just got to the end of round 9 and I'm going to slip stitch into the beginning, chain 3 to join. So for round 10 we're going to do pretty much what we did for round 6. So I'm going to chain 3 and turn, and you're going to work 2 treble into the stitch, into the space at the base of your chain 3, just like we've been doing, and then you're going to work 3 treble into each space between the clusters, and you're going to do 3 treble chain 2, 3 treble into your corners. So again, like a granny square but without the chain 1 in between. So 3 treble in between each cluster of 3 stitches all the way around, with 3 treble chain 2, 3 treble in your chain 2 corner spaces. And once you've done that, I will come back. So I've just got to the end of round 10 and I'm going to slip stitch into that beginning chain 3 to join, and I'm going to then start round 11, which I'm going to chain 3 and turn, and I am going to do 2 treble crochet into the stitch, into the space at the base of our chain 3, and then going to do 3 treble into the next space and 3 treble into the next space. And then on my last stitch, I'm going to join my red yarn back in. So I'm going to complete the stitch with the red yarn, and I am going to do 3 treble with the red into that next space between the stitches. And on my last stitch, I'm going to change back to the white, and we're going to do 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble in the corner. And then on our last stitch, we're going to change to the red again. And 3 treble in between the next 3 clusters of 3, and then change to our white again with our last stitch, and then we're going to do 3 treble, 3 treble, 3 treble. So 3 lots of 3 trebles in between our clusters. So I've just done, I'm on my 3rd set of 3 trebles, and I'm going to change to my red yarn, and I'm going to do 3 treble crochet in between the stitches, and I'm then going to change back to my white and do 3 lots of 3 trebles. So I've done 1, 2, 3 lots of 3 treble clusters after that red one, and then I'm going to change back to my red and do 3 treble into that next space between the clusters of 3. And then I'm going to change back to my white and we'll do the corner like we always do. You're then going to repeat that sequence that we've just done on that side. So we do the corner with the white, 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble. You then are going to do 3 treble cluster red, and then you're going to do 3 treble clusters of the white, switch back to the red, 3 treble crochet, and then do 1, 2, 3 lots of the 3 treble crochets, and then switch back to our red. I'm going to do that until you end up back where you started. So I'm getting to the end of the row and I've just done my 3 treble red stitches, and I want to carry on with the red yarn, so I am going to flip that like we have been doing to travel the yarn up, trap it in and travel it up. So I'm going to finish that stitch and then I'm going to slip stitch into that beginning, chain 3 to join, and then I'm going to chain 3 and turn. So like we've done before, I am then going to do 1 treble crochet into that first stitch, that first red stitch, and I'm going to work over that yarn. So 1 treble crochet, so 1 treble crochet into that first stitch, and then I'm going to do 1 treble crochet, chain 1, 1 treble crochet into that middle red stitch, 1 treble crochet, chain 1, 1 treble crochet, and then I'm going to do 2 treble crochets into that next stitch. And with my last stitch, I'm going to change to my white yarn. And I'm going to do 3 treble in between the next clusters, chain the next 3 treble clusters, and I'm picking up that yarn from the row before to trap it in, make that nice and neat. Oops. So I'm doing 2 lots of 3 treble clusters, and at the end of this stitch I'm going to change to my red yarn, and we're going to do just like we've been doing before, which is 2 treble crochet into that first red stitch, 1 treble crochet, chain 1, 1 treble crochet into that next stitch, and then 2 treble crochet into the last red stitch, and then we're going to change to our white yarn again, and you're going to repeat that around, making your hearts and doing treble clusters in between the stitches just like we did before. So I'm just getting to the end of row 12 and I'm going to fasten off my red because I'm not going to need that anymore, and we're just going to be working with the white yarn. So I've just done my last 3 treble and I'm going to slip stitch into my beginning, chain 3 to join, and then I'm going to chain 3 and turn, and we're going to do just like we've done for the other rows, and we're going to work 3 treble in between each 3 treble cluster, and we're going to work 3 treble into the chain 1 spaces in the middle of our hearts, and we're going to do 3 treble, chain 2 into each corner space. So you're going to do that all the way around just like we've done before, and I'll come back once we've done that. So I'm just getting to the end of row 13, and I am going to slip stitch into that beginning chain 3 to join, and then I am going to chain 3 and turn, and I'm going to do 2 treble into that space, and we're going to do just like we've done before, and what's kind of like a normal granny square. We're going to do 3 treble in between each of the 3 treble clusters, and we're going to do 3 treble, chain 2 in the corner. We're going to do that all the way around. 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble in the corner, sorry. And then we'll do that all the way around. Once we're back, we'll slip stitch to join, and that will be your square finished.
So once you've done all that, you should end up with something like this. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe, and if you make one of these, please tag me in any pictures on social media at Realm Designs. I would love to see. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.